So we start chanting. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana-shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayyam Dadati Swapadantikam. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutapadakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamscha. Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savdhutam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakha Vitamscha. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute. तप्त कांचना गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये. वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्यश्च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः. जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंदा श्री अद्वैता गदाधरा श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंदा. हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. मुखं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयति गिरिकृपा तमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुदीनतारणम्. Hare Krishna. So I'm sorry for the technical difficulties. Maybe next time we have to prepare in advance. So today we are going to discuss about well-being and happiness of masses. So this is basically we are celebrating festival of joy for next 4 weeks. We are going to do a presentation of Bhagavad Gita and the practical lessons how we can be happy and joyful in our life. Somebody asked our founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada that what is the essence of all the Vedas, all the scriptures, Upanishads, Puranas, what is the essence? Because people don't have time to read them or understand them. So Srila Prabhupada says that the purpose of all these scriptures is to be happy. Sarve sukhenu bhavantu. Let everybody be happy. Now that is the purpose of all the scriptures. Brother, can you change the slides? So, what is the definition of health according to World Health Organization? It says that health is a state of complete physical, mental, social well-being and not merely the absence of disease or infirmity. So that is a healthy condition, which includes physical, mental and social well-being. Right? So there are different levels of health and all these levels are mentioned by World Health Organization themselves. Next. Yeah, so I would like to also share some of the lessons from a story from Parashar, who's a disciple of Ramanujacharya. 1000 years back, we have a big temple in South India, Srirangam. So that's a long story, but I would only pick up the lessons from there because we are short of time. So the lessons that are given here are for a person, how a person can be enlightened, how a person can realize himself that he is qualified to understand himself and what is the purpose of his life, who is God, what is the relationship with God. So what are the qualities one should develop? And these qualities also help us to be happy. In today's world, with so many distractions, everybody is looking for happiness, but we are trying to find happiness in the wrong places. And we are trying to find happiness in things which can only satisfy maybe our body, our senses to some levels, but to actually satisfy the soul, to really be happy, we have to connect to ourselves. We have to connect to the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna. Only then we can be truly happy. But we are looking for other things and which may give us just temporary happiness. But Srila Prabhupada said that we are trying to give the happiness which will never be exhausted. Other happiness may get exhausted in some time, but the happiness that we derive when we connect with ourselves to the supreme source of happiness, Satchit Ananda. Ananda is not just happiness, it's supreme happiness. That you can always be happy. So that is what Srila Prabhupada came to give all of us. One time Srila Prabhupada was in America and a reporter asked him that why have you come here? So reporters ask direct questions. So Prabhupada said, I have not come here to convert any of you, because most of the people here are Christians. I have not come to convert you, but what I have come here is to remind you of what you have forgotten. That you are the soul. You are part and parcel of the supreme soul. You are part and part of that Satchidananda. I have just come to remind you, and that is my purpose. So that is the agenda of Srila Prabhupada when he came to America in 1965 on a cargo ship, and he didn't know anyone in America, right? And through a friend he came to Butler, Pennsylvania, and he stayed in one house of Gopal Agarwal and Sally Agarwal. Sally was a Christian, and when Prabhupada came to their house to see everything, he was looking at the refrigerator, and the refrigerator was full of non-vegetarian. And Srila Prabhupada is like a acharya, from Vrindavan. He never ate meat, and he was so compassionate. He said, if you take out all these things from the refrigerator, if you clear your refrigerator and put what I say, I'll cook every day for you. He didn't say, oh, you are a demon, you are eating meat, right? He could have said like that, but he was so compassionate and kind that he truly cared for them, and he was so compassionate that he did the best he could do. He was staying in a YMCA, but he would just come there and cook in their house. And when Sally Agarwal left her body last year, in 2022 in Madison, Wisconsin, one of her last wish was that Prabhupada disciple come and preside over her memorial services. So she was so much attached and she has so much love for Srila Prabhupada. By his example, he gave that to the whole world. And I think now Zoom is there working. Okay. I'm just sharing this file. What is the name of that? And then, so what are the qualities we can develop to truly be happy? So there are three lessons that we can learn. Yes, you can maximize it. From the bottom there. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. So we can learn from salt. So lessons from salt, crane and chicken. So what we can learn from salt is to be balanced. When you put salt in a preparation, it should be balanced. If it is too much, it's not palatable. If it is too less, it is so bland, right? So what salt is teaching us is to be balanced in our spiritual and material relationships, in our worldly relationships, and also to react to challenges in a balanced way. Sometimes our tendency is that if some challenge comes, we tend to be, going to the extremes, which may result in wrong results. So Bhagavad Gita teaches us that yukta ahara viharasya yukta karma cheshtashu yukta sap abhodasya yoga bhavati dukkha. He who is regulated in his habits of eating, sleeping, recreation and work can mitigate all material pains by practicing the yoga system. So you can see that balance is so important in our lives, right? If there may be challenges in our life on the financial side, sometimes on the health side, sometimes on work side or family side. So we have to balance and pivot and see where we need to pay more attention. So that is what Salt teaches us. And then, can you this side? Cheers. Second lesson from salt is that salt is invisible. Have you ever noticed a preparation? All of us have prepared some nice dish. Have you ever observed that somebody has said, Mataji or Prabhuji, the salt in the preparation is very good? Have you ever got that remark? No, right? Salt is invisible. It doesn't expect any credit for itself. Never expects any recognition. It just works in the background, doing service as a servant. And so this quality of salt, which is to be invisible, is what a person who wants to be happy or who wants to understand who he truly is should have. So he is always looking to serve in the background and never expecting any recognition. So Bhagavad Gita 7.10, this verse says, Krishna tells Arjuna that know that I am the original seed of all existences, the intelligence of the intelligent and the prowess of all the powerful men. So why did I put this verse is because a person thinks that whatever abilities I have, whatever wealth I have, whatever assets I have are not because of me but by the grace of Krishna. Is that not true? It's true, right? So yes, there may be different levels of understanding this. If you achieve a certain task, there may be three levels of understanding. One is, yes, I am the doer, I am presenting this presentation, but at the same time, I also have to give credit to my gurus, to Srila Prabhupada, right? That is the second level. And ultimately, third level is Lord Krishna. Because the life here is within me, I am still alive because of Krishna's, potency or power, I am still speaking. It's not in my control. Nobody wants to die, but still people die. It's out of their control. So, that is the quality of salt, to be invisible. And third quality a person should have to be happy or to be truly able to understand who he really is or she really is to merge into the preparation. When you put salt into the preparation, after the salt gets dissolved, you cannot find any salt there, right? It permeates into the flavor across the whole preparation and it gives taste and flavor to it. So similarly, the lesson that we can learn from here is that we should relinquish our false ego. So there are two types of egos, false ego and true ego. False ego is that yes, I am this body and I am something separate from God, Krishna. And true ego is, yes, I am the servant of Krishna, I have to serve Krishna. So, and then it permeates as flavor. So, we see that nowadays in the world, everybody is trying to distinguish themselves based on their country, their caste, their religion, their race. And that is the reason that is creating boundaries. We are not able to really connect with each other. There is no peace in the world. So if we are able to imbibe this quality, this lesson from the salt, then we can understand that each and every human being, not even human being, animals, they also have that living spark, that divine force within them, which is permeating across the entire universe. So therefore Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita in the 5th chapter, Vidya Vinay Sampanne Brahmane Gavi Hastini Sunicheva Swapakecha Pandita Sama Darshina. The humble sage, by virtue of true knowledge, sees with equal vision a learned and gentle Brahmana, a cow, an elephant, a dog, and a dog eater. Because that learned Brahmana is looking at the soul within a cow, a dog eater, and a dog. Everyone. He is looking at that. So, so that is the true equality in all beings, and this is the real peace formula in the world. You know, when we are able to appreciate that equality within everyone. So that is the third quality. So now we learn some lessons from the chicken. So has anyone seen a chicken going to a garbage? What does it do? Yes. It goes to the garbage and picks the seed, the good food that is there. It never eats the garbage. So if somebody tells you you are a chicken, so you should not feel bad from today. It's a good quality. So if you are like a chicken, that's a good thing. You are looking at the good qualities of others, right? So the person who wants to be happy or who wants to understand the Lord should be Saragrahi. What is Saragrahi? He looks at the essence, right? So seeking the essence, and while it is seeking the essence, it also looks at the opportunity to grow. So many times what happens is we are so distracted in this world that we are just looking at the faults of others. When we point one finger on someone, three fingers are on us, right? So and it is very easy to criticize anyone, but under the influence of ego, we feel that we are great. We always want to show ourselves that we are great and the other person is inferior to us, and that gives us a sense of upliftment or encouragement. So yeah. Next is the lesson from crane. So if you see a crane, can anyone tell what does the crane do standing in one leg on the water, in the stream? Searching for the fish, yes. A crane is standing with one leg in a river stream. Lot of fishes are passing by, hundreds of fishes, tens of fishes, thousands of fishes. And as soon as a big fish comes, it immediately grabs it and eats it. What does that mean? The crane is so much focused on what is important for the crane, right? So therefore, we should also focus on the important things in life. There may be so many distractions. Sometimes we consider insignificant things as significant in life. And because we spend so much time in those things, the significant things become insignificant, right? So therefore Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, "O Arjuna, you should always think of me in the form of Krishna and at the same time carry out your prescribed duties of fighting. With your activities dedicated to me and your mind and intelligence fixed on me, you will attain me without doubt." So Krishna is telling that while you are doing your occupation, you can also remember me. Arjuna is a householder. Subhadra is his wife. Abhimanyu is his son. He has friends Krishna and everybody is there. He's a family man, and still he's listening to Krishna, following the instructions of Krishna. So that's a lesson for all of us, that those who are in the Grihastha family life, we can also do that. We don't have to quit our jobs. We don't have to quit our families. We just have to add Krishna into our life, right? So, and because of all these different priorities in life, we should not give up our service, our relationship that we have as a soul to the Lord. So that is very important. Because generally what happens, we get so much distracted by generally wealth, right, in this world, trying to acquire more and more wealth. So this is a very nice quote. You can tell how rich you are by things that money cannot buy. Can anyone give examples of the things which money cannot buy? Friendship, yes. Anything else? Love? Happiness? Yes. It can facilitate in some ways, but yeah. So at the same time, it's important to have money, but we should understand that along with money, there are other things also in life which are important. And if money is there, it can be used in the service of Krishna also. That is the purpose of earning money. Somebody said yesterday in that class, some child lab said. So yeah, these are some of the lessons which we have. from salt, chicken and grain. And then I would like to also share in 10 minutes one acronym which is PRAN, P-R-A-N. So that also gives us some hints how to be happy, how to live a happy and successful life, how to connect to Krishna. So before I start that, I want to share the meaning of this word spiritual. So what does spiritual mean according to Oxford? It says relating to or affecting the human spirit or soul as opposed to material or physical things. Now, Oxford also knows spirituality. It's speaking the language of Bhagavad Gita. It is distinguishing between material and spirit. Right? So, spirituality is incomplete without understanding the spirit. Therefore, Prabhupada, whenever he would give a lecture anywhere, he would talk about soul. What is the soul? What are the qualities of the soul? Na jayate mrityeva kadachin. Soul is never born or dead. And so many different ways he would explain that we are not this body, we are the soul. So that is the first step to understand that we are not this body. And once we understand that we are not this mind or we are not this body, all those problems that we are having through the mind and through the body, that will go away. We just understand that. And this life is like a dot on a huge line. Our soul is traveling through so many species of life, one life after another life after another life. So if you consider a line is made of infinite dots. It is just one dot. And if we worry so much about small things and petty things and not focus on what the purpose of life is, what this soul is meant to be, then we are just looking at that small fish. We are not focusing on the big fish. We are not being the crane. So unless we have happiness, we cannot give it to others, right? Like in the aeroplane, it is said that first help yourself before you help others. So like we are understanding the meaning of spirit. So there are three different sciences: spiritual science, physical science and psychological science. And if you understand all three of them in harmony, how the body, mind and soul works, then what happens is you can achieve real happiness. You can understand and then you can implement that in your life. So most of the time we see that the purpose of education nowadays is just to earn money. But in earlier days, Chanakya Pandit says that who is a truly educated person? A truly educated person is the one who understands that others' property is no more than a piece of stone. Nowadays everybody is wanting to have others' property illegally. But those days they are very like integrity, honesty. And second is who considers others' wife as their own mother. Now it is reverse. And third thing is that one who sees everybody with equal vision. That is an educated person. So the byproduct of building character is name, fame, money. But if you lose your character, you lose nothing. Nowadays, people like, I don't care for character, I just need wealth, I just need health. Right? But a truly educated person is one whose character is the topmost priority, and then obviously health and wealth can come and go. That is also important. But character is also essential property. So when we are talking about the spirit, we also talk about the mind. So I am in cyber security, so I want to give a nice example of security here. So there are a lot of hacks and attacks nowadays in the banking world or online world, right? So this is an example of Bank of America email that comes to you, and it is asking you to provide, your username and password in this link here. And as you can see, what is the mistake in this email? What is wrong? Can you see something wrong here?
I can barely read it from here.
Okay, so I'll just read it. It says Bank of America crvdj@comcast.net. It's not coming from Bank of America, although it looks like it's comes from Bank of America. It's a fake email, right? It's a phishing. They call it's a phishing email. Just like a fisherman puts a bait on his instrument and does fishing. So the fish thinks, oh, it's actually nice food, but it catches the jaw of the fish and the fish is gone, right? So if you click on that link, if you give a username and password, your password is hacked, and the hacker can actually log in and then he can transfer money to his account. So similarly, it happens to us also. You know, once it is hacked, it's gone. So once the virus is there on your computer or your computer is hacked, what happens? You lose your time, you're frustrated, your operation is hampered, and there are so many different impediments that come to you. So similarly, we can compare this computer which is infected with virus to a human brain, right? So, so in a computer world, if there is garbage in, there is garbage out. So whatever we feed into our minds, you know, whatever we hear, whatever we see, whoever we interact with, all those impressions are actually stored in the mind, like the hard disk of the computer. So therefore, we should be very selective in what we hear, what we see, whom we interact, because those are the impressions that are getting stored in our mind, and that is how our destiny will be shaped. That is how our life will be shaped, right? So if we are giving an ear to envy, like Manthara in Ramayana, right? You know the result. If we are doing good, if we are taking shelter of Krishna, if we are chanting the holy names, if we are reading Bhagavatam, we are doing kirtan, eating prasadam, then definitely it will have good effect, right? If we are compassionate to people, if we are respectful, so all these things add good value to us. And when we are talking about mind, there is a verse in Bhagavad Gita which also tells that mind can be our best friend or worst enemy. So this is a very nice image which says, no one can destroy iron but its own rust. No one can destroy a person but his own mindset. Imagine living with a friend in your room, you know, who is your enemy 24 hours a day. It's very difficult. So we should know how to control the mind, how to live with our companion all the time. And therefore we have the mantra, Maniti Trayateti mantra, to help us. So I was talking about these 4 ways how we can control the mind and be happy. So the first is positive association. You can remember it by prana. Positive association. Second is resilience. Third is antenna, and fourth is networking. We just finished in 5 minutes. So as we know, positive association, that we should associate with like-minded and positive-minded people who inspire us. Do they give you enthusiasm? And do they help you in your goal? Right? That is the kind of association that we should look for. But again, we have a choice, you know. There may be so many people whom we interact with, but it's our choice. Just like on your television, you have hundreds of channels. It's your choice which channel you tune into. You know, Krishna has given us the free will. Whichever channel we tune into, whichever frequency we tune into, that's what gets into our mind, that's what will get into our consciousness. The more positive energy we have, the more power we have to deal with the negative energy. Right? So, just like it is said that within each and every one of us there are 2 dogs. One is a good dog and bad dog. So the good dog is barking very loudly, and the bad dog is also, you know, barking. Both of them are barking. So who will win? Can anyone guess? Who we feed more, right? So if we give our ear, eyes, attention to the bad dog, then that is what is going to bark louder, and that is what will influence our decision-making ability. So, second is the example of resilience, you know, because in this world we will face challenges. This world is full of problems, yes, and it comes to everybody, whoever we are, whether we are the Prime Minister, whether we are a sweeper in the street. So there will be challenges. So second thing to stay happy is to be resilient. And there is a very nice story of Sindhu Tai. So you can go through this, how she encountered these challenges and she bounced back. Does anyone know about Sindhu Tai? Oh, you know?
This is a movie about.
Oh, have you seen that? Okay.
That's
Yeah.
one of the great.
Okay. So I'll just quickly, in 2 minutes, in a nutshell, then you can Google it and find it. She left her body, I think, last year, and yeah. So she's from Maharashtra, and when she was small, she got married at a very early age, and she was actually rejected by her husband, and she gave birth to one of her daughters in a cow shed under a cow. And the way the baby was born is that she had to use a stone to cut the umbilical cord. And she was in the crematorium, cooking chapatis in the coal, in the fire of the dead bodies. She was eating that, and one day she decided that she will commit suicide because she doesn't want to live like that. So she went to commit suicide near the railway track. And when she was waiting for the train to come, she heard the voice of an old man who was calling for help. And she was a devotee of Krishna, and she thought it's a voice of Krishna. So she just got up and went to help that old man. And then she was sitting under a old tree whose branch was just hanging on a thread, and that branch was giving her shade. So she was thinking that this tree has nothing, still it is giving me shade. Similarly, I also don't have anything in my life. I could be of use to someone. I was useful to that old man. So let me dedicate this life for the society, whatever I can do. And she had like a big orphanage, and when people saw that she is doing good work, they built him a nice orphanage home, bigger. And she had like 2,000 kids, like that. So, and one time, in her orphanage, one old man came, and he was her husband who rejected her. And she said, and he wanted to stay there because he also had nothing. So he said, yes, you can stay, but you are not my husband. You are one of his child. So she would tell sometimes that, I have so many kids, but this is the oldest and he's very naughty. So resilience. Influence without affluence. She didn't have anything. Nowadays people think, I should have a Series A funding, Series B funding for my startup and this and that. She didn't have anything, and she had maybe $1 million, orphanage house and everything, because her intention was very pure. She wanted to serve instead of getting from others. So that is a big example of influence without affluence. And also another example of resilience is there have been so many layoffs during COVID times. People lost, jobs, so many people, and even still people are, losing jobs and might lose more jobs. So if we just focus on the teachings of Krishna and Bhagavad Gita, then even these difficult times we can just, cross the hurdle of these difficult times and continue with our duties. Because I have seen many examples of my friends and even myself. I also, lost job in COVID times, but because of the teachings of Bhagavad Gita, because of the Mahamantra, the chanting of the holy names, I was able to focus and secure like 7 jobs in 2 months. So, yeah. And then third is antenna. In Pran, the third acronym is antenna. So what it tells is that we have to set up the address in the GPS. So when we came to the temple, now we know the address, but anywhere you go, you put the GPS, the destination you don't know. So if you miss an exit, the GPS, what it does, it says recalculating or recalibrating. And it tells you to take the next exit and come back, right? So similarly in our life, we may also miss certain things, but there is always an opportunity to come back to it. Always an opportunity to go to our destination. So this is also very important. So we must forgive ourselves. We may have done mistakes, others do mistakes in the past because of immaturity, because of bad association. But we must get back on the track and leave the habits which keep pulling us back and move ahead in our journey. We should not think, oh, this is done, I have made a mistake, now I cannot move forward. No, we should continue like a GPS. Another example of antenna, the direction, is of a surfer. When the surfer is surfing on the wave, it balances according to the wave. If the wave is high or low, it tries to balance it. So similarly, in life we have to adjust according to the situation in life. And there may be sometimes happiness, there may be sometimes distress, there may be problems, there may be difficulties, but we have to adjust at those times. That is the stable person. And one should not be disturbed in those situations. Just like Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, that whether it's a summer or a winter season, they will come and go. A sober person is not disturbed because of that. So the last acronym N stands for networking and seeking help. So as we see that in the Redwood Forest in California, in the Northern California, we have a lot of national parks, and one of the trees on the right side you see is the trees which are very tall, but yet the roots are not very deep, but they are still standing. They are withstanding the thrust of wind and everything. Can anyone tell why? How can they still withstand the thrust even though the roots are not deep? Huh? Okay. Roots instead of going deep, they go like this, they entangle each other. And that's how they network each other and grow together. So we should also network and seek help. So this is the way they entangle, you can see here. So the strength of the team is each of its members, the strength of each member is the team. Like that. So relationships, we should maintain good relationships, with each other. We should have someone with whom we can share our heart with. And we should also try to become someone with whom others can share their heart with. Right? So whatever skills we have and whatever abilities we have, we should be able to be a part of a team where we have a lot of nice friends and good relationships. So yes, this is what the inner foundation of spirituality is: to invest time, get inspired, build values and build characters. And we should grow through storms in all pandemics of life, not go through them. So thank you very much. And so I'll just summarize quickly. So we learned about the lessons from salt, chicken and crane. And then we also learned the acronym PRAN, P for positive association, R for resilience, A for antenna, and N for networking. Thank you so much, Hare Krishna, for the patience. Any comments or questions?
Look, generally these chicken, salt and crane, they are not taken in good sense in the normal life. How come you thought of such examples to explain the verses of Gita?
Yeah, so this
is very unorthodox comparison.
Yeah, this is from a story of Ramanujacharya. 1,000 years old, stayed in South India from Sri Rangam. Ramanujacharya is one of our Acharya of Sri Sampradaya. So he is a disciple Parashar. And he wanted to understand what are the qualities that I should imbibe so that I can truly understand who I am. So this is the actual story that happened. So he went to 400 miles in the hills of Tirupati, and he asked a saint about this question, and then he answered it that you should be like a salt, chicken, and crane. These are the qualities you should have. Because unless we have good character, then we can impress others externally, but to truly impress Krishna is in the heart. He knows what your intention is. We may say, oh, we are very nice, we can externally behave very, nicely to others, but internally we are envious, we are angry, and Krishna will not be happy. So these are the qualities